Are you throwing money away every time you change your diesel oil? Most diesel owners don't realize they're using the wrong viscosity grade for their engine and driving conditions. After testing both 5W30 and 5W40 in over 200 diesel engines, I'm going to show you which one actually protects better, saves you fuel, and extends engine life. The answer might surprise you because it's not what the internet keeps telling you. Let's settle this once and for all. First, let's cut through the confusion. That W doesn't stand for weight, it stands for winter. The number before it, that's your cold start viscosity. Both 5W30 and 5W40 flow exactly the same at cold temperatures, down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. So anyone telling you one is better for cold starts is flat out wrong. They're identical when your diesel first fires up on a freezing morning. The real difference shows up when your engine reaches operating temperature. That second number, the 30 or the 40, that's where things get interesting. At 100 degrees Celsius, 5W30 has an operating viscosity between 9.3 and 12.5 millimeters squared per second. Meanwhile, 5W40 sits between 12.5 and 16.3. What does this actually mean for your diesel? 5W40 maintains a thicker oil film when your engine is screaming hot under load. Here's what I've seen in the shop. Brought in a 2019 Ford F-250 with the 6.7 power stroke, 140,000 miles. Owner been running 5W30 since new because that's what the manual said. Engine ran fine, no complaints. But when we did the valve cover service, I noticed something. Slight varnish buildup on the rockers, nothing terrible, but it was there. Compression was good, oil consumption normal, about a quart between changes. Now here's the interesting part. Customer's brother has the exact same truck, same year, same engine, same mileage within 3,000 miles. Only difference? He's been running 5W40 Rotella T6 since 50,000 miles. When we serviced his truck 2 weeks later, valve train looked cleaner. Not dramatically different, but noticeably cleaner. His oil consumption? Half a quart between changes. Both trucks tow heavy. Both see highway miles. Both maintained properly. The thicker oil film from that 5W40 made a measurable difference in a high-load diesel application. But before you rush out and switch to 5W40, here's what you need to know. For newer diesels under 50,000 miles with tight tolerances, 5W30 might actually be the better choice. Modern common rail diesels, especially those with diesel particulate filters, are engineered for thinner oils. That 5W30 flows easier through tighter oil passages, dissipates heat faster, and typically gives you 1 to 3% better fuel economy. If you're running a 2015 or newer diesel that spends most of its time empty or lightly loaded, 5W30 is probably your best bet. Here's where 5W40 shines. High mileage diesels, anything over 80,000 miles. Turbocharged engines that see heavy towing or sustained high speeds. Older mechanical injection diesels with larger bearing clearances. Hot climate operation where ambient temperatures regularly exceed 35 degrees Celsius. Stop and go city driving where your diesel sits in traffic and runs hotter than normal highway cruising. The thicker oil film at operating temperature provides better protection under these demanding conditions. I had a customer with a 2012 Chevy Duramax, 178,000 miles, started noticing a slight tick at idle when the engine was hot. Oil pressure was still in spec, but at the lower end of normal. We switched him from 5W30 to 5W40, and within one oil change interval, that tick disappeared. Oil pressure came up about 3 psi at hot idle. The worn bearing clearances needed that thicker film to maintain proper pressure and quiet operation. Now let's talk about what the oil manufacturers don't always make clear. That high temperature, high shear viscosity, or HTHS. For 5W30, it's typically around 2.9 millipascal seconds at 150 degrees Celsius. For 5W40, it's 3.5 or higher. Under extreme pressure and temperature, like inside your turbo bearings or at the top of your cylinder walls during combustion, that HTHS rating matters more than the basic viscosity grade. The higher the HTHS, the stronger your oil film under stress. This is why European diesel manufacturers, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, often specify 5W40. Their engines run hotter and under higher loads than typical American diesel applications. But here's what most videos won't tell you. You can't just arbitrarily switch between these grades. Your owner's manual is the starting point, not a suggestion. If your manual only lists 5W30, especially on 2015 and newer emissions-controlled diesels, there's a reason. Those engines have variable valve timing controlled by oil pressure. Use too thick an oil and you can actually cause timing issues, trigger check engine lights, and in extreme cases, damage variable cam phasers. I've seen it happen on a 2018 Ram with the 6.7 Cummins. Owner thought thicker was better, ran 5W40 when the manual called for 5W30. After 15,000 miles, cam phaser started rattling. $3,000 repair. Don't be that guy. Here's the smart way to approach this. Check your owner's manual first. If it lists both grades as acceptable, choose based on your conditions. New diesel, light-duty use, fuel economy priority, go with 5W30. High mileage, heavy towing, hot climate, lots of idling, 5W40 makes more sense. If your manual only lists one grade, stick with it unless you have specific high mileage issues like oil consumption or low pressure, and even then, only switch if the manual provides an alternative specification. One more thing about mixing these oils. In an emergency, yes, you can top off 5W40 with 5W30 or vice versa. It won't hurt anything short term, but don't make it a habit. The additives packages are balanced for specific viscosity ranges. Mix them too much and you dilute the effectiveness of both. Always return to the correct spec at your next oil change. Let me give you real-world fuel economy numbers because this matters to diesel owners. Tested a 2020 F350 with the 6.7 power stroke on both oils. Same driver, same 50-mile mixed route, same load, same ambient temperature range. With 5W30, averaged 16.8 miles per gallon over 5 tanks. Switched to 5W40, averaged 16.3 miles per gallon over the next 5 tanks. That's a 3% drop in fuel economy. Doesn't sound like much until you calculate it over 15,000 miles per year. That's about 100 extra gallons of diesel, roughly $450 at current prices. So unless you need that extra protection from 5W40, you're literally burning money. Here's something interesting about temperature ranges. 5W30 is technically rated for ambient temperatures up to 30 degrees Celsius, while 5W40 goes up to 35 degrees. But in practice, your engine oil temperature is going to be 90 to 105 degrees Celsius regardless of outside temperature. That ambient rating matters more for cold starts and initial circulation, not sustained operation. So if you live in Arizona or Texas, yes, 5W40 handles the initial heat better. But once you're cruising down the highway, both oils are operating well within their design parameters at 100 degrees Celsius. Now let's talk about oil life. 5W40 typically has stronger oxidation resistance because of its more robust additive package designed to handle higher temperatures. In synthetic form, you're looking at 10,000 to 15,000 mile change intervals safely. 5W30 synthetic, similar range, but it degrades slightly faster under sustained high heat. If you're towing heavy in summer with 5W30, I'd lean toward the shorter end of that interval. With 5W40 under the same conditions, you can comfortably hit the upper end. Here's a myth that needs to die. Thicker oil always equals better protection. Wrong. Modern diesels are engineered with specific clearances and oil passage designs. Too thick and you restrict flow to critical areas. Not enough flow means not enough cooling, not enough cleaning, and actually more wear despite the thicker film. This is especially true in overhead cam diesels where oil has to travel up long passages to lubricate the valve train. Use the viscosity your engine was designed for, and you'll get optimal protection. One last real-world example. Customer runs a small fleet of 2016 Silverado 2500s with Duramax engines. All identical trucks, all the same routes, all maintained on schedule. Half the fleet ran 5W30, half ran 5W40. After 3 years and an average of 120,000 miles per truck, we inspected engines during major services. The 5W30 trucks showed slightly better fuel economy logs, averaged 0.4 miles per gallon better over 3 years. The 5W40 trucks showed slightly less valve train noise at high mileage and used about 20% less oil between changes. But here's the kicker. There was zero difference in actual wear patterns when we scoped the cylinders and measured bearing clearances. Both oils did their job perfectly when used as designed. So here's your bottom line. For most diesel owners with modern trucks under heavy use, 5W40 provides a slight edge in protection at the cost of minor fuel economy. For newer diesels driven normally or primarily unloaded, 5W30 delivers better efficiency with completely adequate protection. Neither is universally better. They're engineered for different operating conditions. Use your owner's manual as your guide. Consider your actual driving conditions, and ignore the internet warriors who claim one is trash and the other is magic. Your diesel engine cost you $40, $50, maybe $60,000. Don't cheap out on oil, but also don't overthink it. Use quality synthetic in the correct grade for your application, change it on schedule, and your diesel will run 300,000 miles or more without major issues. I've seen it hundreds of times. The oil grade matters far less than using good oil and changing it regularly. If this cleared up the confusion, hit that like button. Drop a comment with your diesel make, model, mileage, and which oil you're running. I'll respond with specific advice for your setup. And if you want more straight talk about diesel maintenance without the BS, subscribe to this channel. Next week, I'm exposing the truth about diesel fuel additives. Some work, most don't, and a few actually cause damage. You're not going to believe which popular brand made the do not use list. Click that subscribe button so you don't miss it. And always remember, the best oil for your diesel is the one your engine was designed to use, maintained on schedule with quality filters. Everything else is just noise.